I was fired because I got pregnant. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't downsizing. It wasn't restructuring, like they love to say in boardrooms. It was a punishment for being a woman who dared to grow another life inside her. My name is Claire. I'm 35. And I gave my best years to a company that threw me out at my most vulnerable. It's nothing personal, Claire, my boss said, not even making eye contact. It's just, with your current condition, we're not sure you can keep up with the pace. We need stability. I sat across from him with a 67-page financial strategy in my lap, one I finished just last night, past midnight. Pace. I was the pace. You're saying I'm no longer useful because I'm pregnant? I asked, my voice calm but burning. He gave a half smile. We'd worded differently in the paperwork. It wasn't just betrayal. It was humiliation. I walked out of that office with a box in my hands, the same kind people carry when someone dies. On the subway, I sat against the wall, trying not to cry. But I cried anyway. Not from weakness. From rage. I knew why they did it. Because they could. Because a pregnant woman was easy to dismiss. Because they thought I'd be too busy with diapers, nausea, maternity leave. Because in their eyes, I was no longer reliable. But I wasn't weak. I had survived in that company. I carried failing projects. I fixed budgets no one else could touch. I handled impossible clients with a smile and a razor-sharp pitch. And now? I was disposable. At home, silence. I dropped my keys. Kicked off my heels. Sat on the hallway floor and stared at the wall. My phone didn't ring. No texts from coworkers. No apology. No second chance. I looked at my stomach. Still small. Barely a bump. But everything had changed. And somewhere in the middle of that empty apartment, I whispered to myself. You're going to come back. Not for revenge. For justice. I didn't file a lawsuit. Not because I lacked grounds. But because I didn't want to be another discrimination case buried in HR reports. I didn't want their hush money. I wanted to prove what happens when a woman doesn't ask, she builds. The first week after getting fired felt like walking through a broken mirror maze. I woke up at 6:30 like always, sat down at my laptop, and froze. Resume? Who would hire a visibly pregnant manager who just got dropped? On day 3, I made coffee, sat at my kitchen table, and opened a blank notebook. I wrote one sentence. If no one will give me a seat, I'll build my own damn table. It wasn't a business plan. It was a scream. But it was enough. Enough to remind me. I knew how companies were built. I'd helped build one from the ground up. Just not mine. I called Ruby. We'd worked together for years. She was sharp, fast, and knew data like it was her second language. You still have that project they wouldn't let you pitch? I asked. I do. But. Claire, are you sure? I don't need permission. Neither do you. We met in her cramped kitchen. 2 laptops. Coffee. Crumbs. Our office was between the kettle and a dish rack. Our capital? $900 from my savings. $400 she pulled from a forgotten crypto wallet. We named it North and Rising. Not feminine. Not cute. Strong. Directional. Intentional. Within a week, we had a basic service concept. 2 weeks later, a working website. I sent out 20 cold emails to potential clients. No agency name drop. No backing. Just the pitch. One replied. Do you have any case studies? I took a deep breath. I was the case study. I ran the campaign your team copied last year. I just didn't get the credit. But now, the name on the proposal is mine. He laughed. Ballsy. I like that. Let's talk. Our first client wasn't huge, but it was real. A startup out of Chicago looking for a go-to-market strategy. They paid $6,000. I cried in the kitchen when I saw the signed contract. Ruby, I said, voice shaking, we have a real business. Not an idea. Not a vision board. A company. One the IRS will want to hear from. We work 12-hour days. Me with a growing belly, her with color-coded spreadsheets. We had an unspoken agreement, no pity, no, but you're pregnant. I didn't want softness. I wanted to be undeniable. Within a month, we had 3 clients. Real revenue. Real word of mouth. And then, he showed up. Not in person. Not yet. But in the system. One of our prospects forwarded us a message. Your old boss was pretty insistent. Said you were unstable. Overambitious. We thought we should hear both sides. My stomach dropped. He knew. He knew what we were building. And he was scared. Otherwise, why would he chase potential clients with whispers? What now? Ruby asked. He plays dirty. I smiled. Then we play smart. I sat down and wrote an email. Not to him. To the clients. To the ones who mattered. We are a young, women-led agency. We don't waste time on rumors. We're too busy getting results. If you want to know what we've done, here's the data. Here's the strategy. Here's the difference we're making. Simple. Direct. No drama. The reply came fast. You're the only ones who didn't try to sell fear. You sold strength. Let's do this. We landed a pitch meeting with one of the biggest firms in the region. Devlin and Knox. I knew them well. They'd been our biggest client at my old company. I personally managed their rebranding campaign. They trusted me. Until I vanished from their account, without explanation. Ruby looked at the calendar invite and raised an eyebrow. Do you think Dale's going to be there? Dale. My ex-boss. The man who replaced me with a golf buddy and a press release. Oh, I hope so, I said. And I meant it. We prepared the pitch deck like it was a weapon. Custom data models. Interactive slides. Case studies with actual ROI. No fluff. Just facts, and a message, you've seen what we can do. Now imagine what we could do if we were leading. The day of the pitch, I wore a navy blue suit that hugged my pregnant belly proudly. No apology. No hiding. I looked like a woman who had built something, and brought life with her. We entered the conference room. 10 people. Long glass table. And there he was. Dale. Gray suit. Power tie. Forced smile. He froze for a second when he saw me. Just a flicker in his eyes, recognition, discomfort, calculation. Claire, he said with a nod, like I was an old colleague he ran into at a grocery store. Dale, I replied, even. You remember Ruby, right? Ruby smiled. Killer. Calm. We shook hands like we were exchanging heat. The pitch began. I spoke clearly, precisely, owning every number, every insight. The Devlin and Knox execs nodded. Took notes. At one point, one of them leaned in and whispered, "Where were you hiding this talent, Dale?" He smiled tightly. I guess I blinked, he muttered. After the presentation, a senior partner pulled me aside. We always wondered what happened to you, she said. We were told you took a step back. I looked her in the eye. No. I was pushed. But I landed on my feet. And I built something better. She nodded. We'll be in touch very soon. That night, Ruby and I sat in her apartment eating Chinese takeout. The pitch still playing in our heads like a movie. I think we just cracked through, she said. No, I replied, chopsticks hovering over noodles. I think we just started the fire. 3 days later, we got the call. Devlin and Knox was officially switching agencies. To us. It was a 6-month contract. Mid-5 figures. Monthly. Ruby screamed so loud she scared the delivery guy at the door. I laughed. Then I cried. Then I laughed again. I had signed $1 million deals before, for someone else. This one had my name on it. We popped a bottle of sparkling cider. I wish I could drink real champagne, I said. Ruby grinned. You'll drink it when we double the deal. The next morning, I woke up to an email from a blocked sender. The subject line. This isn't over. No name. Just. You think stealing clients makes you smart? You think they'll stay when they remember what you are? I didn't respond. I didn't forward it. I just stared at it, calm. Because the message told me everything I needed to know. Dale wasn't just annoyed. He was threatened. A week later, we got a letter. Official. From his lawyers. Accusations of breach of NDA. Client solicitation. Trade secrets. Ruby paced our tiny office. He's trying to bury us in legal fees. I know, I said. That's how he fights. With paper and noise. We called a friend of mine from law school who now worked in startup legal defense. She reviewed everything. You're clean, she said. He's blowing smoke. But if you want to play this smart, go louder. Louder? I asked. Tell your story. Publicly. Control the narrative before he poisons it. I wasn't sure. I hadn't told anyone about the firing. The pregnancy. The way I was erased. But the next day, I wrote a LinkedIn post. Not bitter. Not emotional. Just facts. I was let go in my second trimester. I wasn't given severance. I was given silence. So I built something better. Today, our company signed a major client I once managed under someone else's name. To every woman who's ever been told she's a liability. You are not. You are the future. Within 24 hours, it had 27,000 likes. Thousands of comments. Messages from women, from investors, from clients we hadn't even pitched. But best of all, a new message. From Devlin and Knox. Just saw your post. Thank you for the transparency. We're proud to be with you. That night, Ruby lifted her glass of sparkling cider. To justice, she asked. I raised mine. No, I said. To power. By month 3, we were swamped. New clients rolled in every week. We hired 2 freelancers. Then 4. Then a project manager named Tanya who used to work for one of our competitors, until she saw my post. Working for someone like you, she said in her interview. Hell yes. I was living on adrenaline. Emails at 6 a.m. Calls at 10 p.m. Presentations, pitches, investor Zooms, onboarding decks. All while my stomach grew. All while my ankles swelled. All while my baby kicked harder and more often, like she knew we were racing time. I pushed through it. Power lunches, soft pantsuits, strategic smiles. I said yes to everything. I was proving a point. Until the morning I collapsed. It happened in the kitchen. I bent down to grab something I dropped, and everything went white. Ruby found me on the floor, cold tile against my cheek. We spent the rest of the day in the ER. Heart monitor. Fluids. Ultrasound. The baby was fine. But the doctor's face was serious. You need to slow down. Now. Stress and dehydration at this point? You're playing a dangerous game. Claire, you're trying to build an empire and grow a human at the same time. One of them will break if you don't pause. I cried in the elevator on the way home. I wasn't scared for me. I was scared that stopping now would undo everything. That night, I opened my laptop. 15 unread emails. A meeting request from a VC firm we'd been chasing for weeks. A proposal from a fashion brand. And in the middle of it, a message from Ruby. I've got this. Rest. We're not doing this without you. But we are doing this for you. I sat in bed, holding my belly with one hand, clicking mark as unread with the other. The next morning, I called the VC back. Not to cancel, to renegotiate. I won't be in your offices. I'll pitch from my home, with my baby bump, in sweatpants. If that makes you nervous, I'm not your founder. The woman on the other end paused. Then said, honestly? I wish more founders were that clear. Send the deck. So I did. From bed. With swollen feet. And fire in my chest. Because slowing down didn't mean stepping back. It meant stepping up, differently. On my terms. I pitched from my living room. Wearing a cashmere cardigan, no makeup, a baby bump front and center. No boardroom. No heels. No corporate mask. I started with numbers. Moved into case studies. Finished with a slide that just said, we built this because we weren't allowed to belong anywhere else. There was silence. Then one of the partners, a woman in her 40s with sharp eyes and silver streaks in her hair, leaned forward. Let me be clear, she said. You're asking for $1.5 million in seed funding, while visibly pregnant, in a high-risk sector, with a team of women who don't look like the standard founder profile. Yes, I said. She nodded. Good. We're tired of the standard. 2 weeks later, we closed the round. $1.6 million from 2 VC firms and 3 angel investors. All of them women. All of them saying the same thing, finally. We moved into a real office space. White walls, big windows, second-hand furniture with character. We hung up our first client contracts on the wall like artwork. And then came the press. Business Insider. Fast Company. A full-length podcast episode titled Pregnant. Fired. Funded. It went viral. Claire Hayes, CEO of North and Rising. The woman who got pushed out, and pushed back harder. My inbox exploded. Speaking invites. Brand collabs. Mentorship requests. Even a high school girl wrote me. I didn't know we were allowed to be both strong and soft until I saw you. It was the most beautiful chaos of my life. Until it wasn't. I got a message from a reporter. One I didn't recognize. Hi Claire. I've been sent some documents about your time at Revere, Dale's company. There are allegations being circulated, NDA violations, stolen IP, breach of ethics. Any comment? My hands went cold. I clicked the link. And there it was, a leaked email chain. Fake timelines. Twisted quotes. A fabricated story painting me as someone who sabotaged her way to success. I didn't have to guess who was behind it. Dale had gone nuclear. I sat in the dark for 20 minutes. Not crying. Just stunned. Not because I didn't expect this. But because part of me thought, hoped, that when you win loud enough, they stop trying to tear you down. Apparently, not. Ruby came over with takeout and fury in her eyes. We're not going to let him do this. We won't sue, I said. But we will speak. And we did. We drafted a public statement. Not defensive. Just honest. We posted screenshots. Dates. Stats. And then we posted something more powerful. Photos. Of our office. Of our team. Of me, 8 months pregnant, leading a strategy meeting with a whiteboard and a ponytail. Captioned: Truth doesn't panic. It builds. And once again, the world answered. The invitation came in a cream envelope with gold trim. I almost thought it was a wedding. But it was a keynote. A major Women in Tech summit. Thousands of attendees. Main stage. Primetime slot. And I was the headliner. The irony? Dale had spoken on that same stage 2 years earlier. He gave a talk on scaling fast with integrity. Cute. I almost declined. Not because I wasn't ready. Because I didn't know if I wanted to be that visible. But then I thought of every girl who saw my post. Every woman who messaged me. Every daughter being raised by a mother told to quiet down. So I said yes. The day of the summit, I wore a fitted black jumpsuit and low heels. 8 months pregnant. Unapologetic. Unmissable. Backstage, I paced slowly, hand on my lower back, sipping electrolytes and reciting my first line under my breath. Ruby came up beside me. You know he's out there, right? I didn't have to ask who. Of course Dale was attending. Of course he was in the crowd. Let him watch, I said. I want him to see what happens when you bet against the wrong woman. The music cued. The lights dimmed. My name flashed across the screen. I walked out to a full standing ovation before I'd even spoken a word. And then, I told my story. All of it. Fired while pregnant. Ignored. Undervalued. Then building. Fighting. Leading. I didn't dramatize. I didn't trash him by name. I just gave facts. And then I gave hope. There are people in this room who've been called too much. Too loud. Too complicated. Too emotional. You're not too much. You're exactly enough for everything you were born to do. The room exploded. People stood. Some cried. Some just stared. And somewhere in the middle, I saw him. Dale. Arms crossed. Tight smile. Dead eyes. He didn't look furious. He looked irrelevant. Afterward, the conference director approached me. That was church, she said. You didn't just speak. You shifted something. That night, I went home sore, swollen, and absolutely alive. I sat on the edge of my bed, pulled out my phone, and opened a new email. To Dale. Subject line, closure. Body. You fired me to erase me. But I became louder than you could silence. This isn't revenge. It's arrival. I didn't hit send. I deleted it. He didn't deserve my closure. She came at 3:17 a.m. No warning. No drama. Just 3 hard contractions, a mad dash to the hospital, and 20 minutes later, I was holding my daughter. Nora. 7 pounds, dark curls, lungs like a lion. The moment they placed her on my chest, the noise stopped. No emails. No lawsuits. No stages. Just us. Her breath. My heartbeat. Skin to skin. Ruby visited that afternoon with flowers, a protein shake, and a baby onesie that said, CEO in training. You built a company pregnant, she whispered, stroking Nora's hair. You can build a world now. I stayed offline for a week. Maybe the first full week in years. No Slack. No calendars. Just diapers and delirious love. But on day 8, a message came in. Not to my phone. To my door. An envelope, hand-delivered, sealed with a logo I recognized instantly. Revere. Dale's company. Inside, a formal offer. They wanted to merge. Not acquire. Not sue. Merge. 50-50 partnership. Their network. Our innovation. I stared at the pages. It made no sense. They were bleeding clients. We were growing faster than projections. They needed us, not the other way around. But this wasn't a business move. It was something else. A trap? An olive branch? A chance to say, we won, on paper while hiding the truth? Ruby was livid. This is his last move. If he can't destroy you, he'll try to own you. I sat with the proposal in my lap for 2 hours. Nora sleeping in a bassinet next to me. My body still aching. My mind sharpening. And then I realized, this wasn't a dilemma. It was an invitation. Not to merge. To win clean. To do what he would never expect. To show the world what real leadership looked like. I called our lawyer. Decline the offer, I said. But we're not staying silent. Get me a room. A camera. A mic. And a stage. The event was called The Future of Leadership. Private venue. Live streamed. A panel of CEOs, investors, innovators. And me. I wore a crisp white suit. Simple. Clean. Intentional. Nora was 5 weeks old, bundled in a wrap across my chest. When they called my name, I walked out to polite applause, and gasps when they saw the baby. I smiled. Not a performance. A statement. I took the mic and looked into the crowd. I was told I couldn't lead and carry life at the same time, I began. I was told pregnancy made me unpredictable. Unstable. Disposable. I paused. Looked down at Nora. Then back up. So I started my own company. While growing this one, I nodded at her. And today, we're profitable, funded, scaling, and hiring. People laughed. Clapped. And then, listened. I received a merger offer last week, I said. From the same company that fired me. I let that settle. They offered to combine our strengths. Which I believe is code for. Please help us stay relevant now that your face is on everything. A ripple of laughter. I took a breath. I declined. Not out of spite. But because I have a daughter now. And she will grow up in a world where leadership doesn't mean erasure, ownership doesn't mean silence, and success doesn't require sacrificing your whole self. The applause was thunderous. People stood. Phones up. Flashing. Screenshots flying through social media before I even left the stage. An hour later, the headline dropped. CEO Claire Hayes turns down multi-million merger to protect vision, and her daughter's future. Backstage, I took off my heels, held Nora tighter, and exhaled. Ruby appeared, tears in her eyes. You didn't just win, she whispered. You built a world he can't even enter. And she was right. Dale never responded. He didn't deny it. He didn't try again. He faded. Just another man who underestimated the wrong woman.